Hey, this is Greg with My Perfect Dream Home, and I'm making this video in light of what just happened here in the state of Florida with two hurricanes already that have hit, Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton. And we have a lot of damage and a lot of destruction throughout a good portion of this state. The entire west coast from Fort Myers up to Punta Gorda and into where the eye came in. And now with the Hurricane Milton, we've got a lot of damage and destruction all over the state. So this is really important because this is going to have an impact on the real estate market here. I have 9 points that I'm going to cover in this video. I would highly recommend that you watch this and share it with anybody you know that's interested in buying or selling real estate here in Florida. There's going to be a lot of impacts from this that we haven't fully understood yet with what's going on. After hurricanes hit Florida, there can be both long-term and short-term impacts from a storm like this. So I would highly recommend that you share this, and I'm going to get into all these different topics now. After hurricanes strike Florida, the real estate market can experience several short and long-term effects, depending on the severity of the storm and the affected areas. Here are some typical trends. Number 1, immediate slowdown in activity. Delayed transactions. Pending home sales may be delayed as properties need to be inspected for damage, utilities may be disrupted, and transportation may be limited. Buyer hesitation. Buyers may be hesitant to move forward with purchases in affected areas due to potential damage, insurance, and safety concerns. Seller challenges. Sellers may face difficulties marketing their homes if there is visible storm damage, or they may pull their listings until repairs are made. The second trend I'm covering is increased demand for rentals. Displacement. Many homeowners are displaced after hurricanes, creating a surge in demand for short-term rentals while repairs are being made. Temporary housing. Investors and homeowners may rent out their properties to those who need temporary housing, which can increase rental prices in the short term. The third trend that I'm going to cover is shift in property prices. Short-term price drops. In areas hit hard by hurricanes, property values can temporarily dip as buyers are reluctant to invest in damaged or vulnerable properties. Long-term resilience. Florida's real estate market often rebounds over time, especially in desirable locations. Home prices may stabilize or even increase after repairs and rebuilding efforts are complete. The fourth trend is increased flooding risk. Homes near beaches, lakes, rivers, ponds, and low-lying areas are particularly vulnerable during hurricanes, especially those that bring heavy rain and storm surges, which we've seen from both of these hurricanes that have blasted Florida. Here's what typically happens to real estate in these areas. Storm surge impact. Coastal homes are often exposed to storm surges, which can cause extreme flooding and structural damage. Properties near lakes and rivers may experience flooding from rising water levels. The ocean also is a serious issue because we get a lot of storm surges in with these tides that come up, and a lot of the property at the oceans has been very, very damaged and destroyed. Inundation in low-lying areas. Homes in low-lying regions and floodplains are at a higher risk of flooding during hurricanes, with rainwater pooling in these areas due to poor drainage. Erosion concerns. Beachfront properties may experience erosion, which can weaken foundations and reduce land size, impacting property value. We've seen a lot of that over the last few years here in Florida, especially Hurricane Ian that hit in 2022. The east coast of the Florida beaches for about 100 miles experienced some major damage. The fifth trend I'm going to cover is surge in new construction. That is something that we see after a hurricane. So all the builders that are building new homes are probably going to see a big influx of new sales because a lot of people are going to look to different areas to live and want new homes that have not had hurricane damage. Rebuilding efforts. After a hurricane, there's often an increase in demand for contractors and builders to repair or rebuild damaged properties. New codes and resilient homes. In many cases, building codes are updated after hurricanes to improve resilience. That's good, except if you're near the beach. I don't know how you're going to get resilience if you have tidal waves and floodwaters that come right up from the ocean. It just really depends on where you're going to be. So you need to do a lot of research if you're going to make that decision. Homes built to the new standards may become more appealing to buyers. Absolutely, I think that would be a fact. The sixth trend I'm going to cover with this video is property value volatility, and this one is important as well given what's going on. Short-term devaluation. Homes in flood-prone areas can see a short-term decrease in value following a hurricane, especially if they sustain significant damage. Buyers may be weary of investing in homes with a history of flooding. Buyer hesitation is another issue. Properties in these areas may stay on the market longer as potential buyers may worry about the future, flood risks, and the cost of repairs and insurance. On a positive note, there are long-term rebounds. Despite short-term dips, waterfront properties often regain value over time due to their desirable locations, though homes with repeated flooding histories may have long-term value challenges. The seventh trend that I'm covering is insurance challenges. And given the fact that we've been whacked with more hurricanes, I'm sure there's going to be a big increase in insurance costs across the whole state of Florida. Higher insurance premiums are pretty much a norm now with what's going on down here in Florida. Insurance premiums may rise significantly after hurricanes, especially for waterfront properties or homes in flood-prone areas. And pretty much what we're seeing on the west coast of Florida, every house that's out there on the beach is in a flood zone and a flood-prone area. Another big aspect is insurance availability, which you're not really hearing a lot about that in the news, but it will come. Some insurers may stop offering policies in high-risk areas, making it more difficult for buyers to secure coverage, which can impact the affordability of homes. Not only that, how are you going to buy a home if you can't get insurance coverage on it and you think you're going to get a mortgage on it? That's not going to happen either. So I don't know where this is all going to go. We need to pay attention because some crazy things may come out of all this. The eighth trend that I'm going to cover is migration and shift in preferences. In some cases, residents of severely affected areas may move to other parts of Florida or out of the state altogether, reducing demand in certain regions. Relocation to safer areas. Buyers may prioritize homes in areas less likely to flood or those built to withstand storms, which can shift demand away from coastal regions. Based on that, I would think a lot more people would want to move to a lot of central Florida areas away from the ocean that are on higher ground. It just depends on the area though. The ninth and last trend that I'm going to cover in this video is government aid and incentives. Voluntary buyouts. In some cases, federal, state, or local governments may offer voluntary buyouts to homeowners in highly flooded-prone areas. These programs allow homeowners to sell their property and relocate to safer areas, particularly in neighborhoods where repeated flooding has occurred. There's also floodplain abandonment, and we're not really sure what's going to happen down here in Florida after what just happened, but in extreme cases, flood-prone neighborhoods may be abandoned if the risk of future damage becomes too high and rebuilding is not feasible. I'm sure there's some instances of this in Florida, we just don't know where yet. We'll learn more as this goes on. There's also disaster relief funds. Federal and state aid may be available for homeowners to rebuild, which can help the market recover more quickly. So we'll see where that goes. We're not really sure. Incentives for buyers is also another option. Post-hurricane, there may be incentives for buyers such as tax breaks or government assistance, which can stimulate the market, and I do hope that we'll see some of that with this that's just happened. In the long term, Florida's real estate market tends to be resilient, especially due to its attractiveness to retirees, vacation home buyers, and those moving to the state for its climate and amenities. The extent of damage and market impact often depends on the strength of the storm, local flood control, infrastructure, and long-term mitigation efforts. So in conclusion, hurricanes are a reality of living in Florida, and they can have a significant impact on the real estate market, especially in areas prone to flooding. If you're thinking about buying or selling in Central Florida, I'm here to help. As an active realtor with 37 years of experience living in Orlando, I've witnessed firsthand the effects storms can have on our community. Whether you're concerned about hurricane risks or looking to make a smart investment, reach out to me. I'd be happy to guide you through the process and make sure you're making the best decision for you and your family.